Now there's these rumors of the SNES Mini on the way, which I guess makes sense to a degree. I mean, at least now they know that there's a market for this sort of thing, and they could now see how to avoid this debacle in the future.
If they want to.
If they want to. I don't necessarily have faith in Nintendo to not avoid the debacle. But they could. I mean, it depends on how innocent you want to think Nintendo is, and I don't necessarily think they are.
Well, you're a gamer who's been fairly accurate in the past on tips and leaks and info about Nintendo news. They said that that's one of the reasons why they thought Nintendo was canceling the NES Classic Edition, because they were developing the SNES Classic. And in my head, I don't see why you'd have to do that. You know, we are what, 7 months out from when potentially if the SNES Classic would ship, or be released, if we're looking at the same time frame for the NES Classic Edition. That's a lot of time, and it's not like you couldn't be producing NES Classic Editions up until that moment. You know, and then work on this simultaneously.
I don't
think that's an excuse.
I don't think that's why it got... I absolutely do not, by any means, believe that that's why the NES Classic got canceled.
Sure, it's the same.
Not.
It'll be the same hardware, just a different case.
I have a feeling that we will probably see a Super Nintendo Classic, maybe around Christmas next year. What I expect is for these to be Christmas items.
Which is fine if Nintendo
forward.
just said that. If they actually said in the beginning, this is a holiday item, it's going to be very limited, and this is why, people wouldn't be going nuts as much right now about it. But they didn't. They after the fact said, oh, we always thought it was going to be a short-term item. Then you should have fucking said that and not get everyone's hopes up when you said, yes, we're trying to meet demand by making more. I think that's what it comes down to.
No, I mean, I agree. That part's particularly bothersome to me. And like I said, especially Reggie's, disconnect.
It's not Reggie's disconnect. It's Japan's.
Well, it's just Nintendo's in general. I don't know how many times Nintendo's seen a frothing demand for something and just ignored it.
Whether it's Zelda limited editions, whether it's when the Wii first came out, and taking well over a year to get on track with that. Yeah, it's been a lot.
At least with the Switch, they're trying.
No, the Switch, I think they've done a damn good job keeping up with demand.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, yeah, my local store has them. In San Diego, you can't find one, but a lot of areas like, yeah, I see one at my Target. So I think, and again, the scalping market on the Switch hasn't been extreme. It's like, if you want to pay $70 more than retail to get one, that's not nuts.
And all my friends who have wanted one, who have just been out and about, have been able to find them early enough, except for you.
What the fuck's wrong with me? Why can't I find one?
I don't know.
Why get the worst luck when it comes to this stuff?
They're all hiding from you.
They're all hiding from me?
So this SNES Mini, if it's on the way, I actually have a lot of questions about it, too. See, the NES Mini, for me, was a patch over, right? It was something that they made for a holiday season, where they put it out because they didn't have anything that was necessarily going to generate a shitload of money for them.
They had nothing.
The Wii U wasn't going to be making them money. The 3DS was still selling well, but they weren't sending out huge shipments of 3DSs. 3DSs were sold out everywhere. You couldn't find new ones. All of our used ones moved within, honest to God, 2 hours of getting them in used at the store.
So they didn't see the connection there too, that we should produce more 3DSs.
Yes. No, they didn't. They really should have.
Let's just shit away all the money we can.
Although I'm not sure that I was expecting a huge rush on 3D. Well, no, I mean, they should have seen the black market. Whatever. Fuck it.
The black market that make 3DSs?
The Black Friday, I was going to say, the popularity over it. I'm so dead. So they did this as a way... So the NES Classic, to me, was a way for them to earn $60 a pop, and they should have generated more of them, to sell these. But another reasoning for me to think that maybe they discontinued the NES Classic as well, and there's a lot of neat little coincidences here as to why they could have. They've got a Switch base growing quickly. Mm-hmm. These are virtual console titles, and whether you've never bought one or people don't know how many people are buying them, people are buying them. These are titles. These are ROMs that people are paid $5 for on the virtual console. Mm-hmm. They were getting these for $2 a piece in a bundle pack.
Sure.
So if they're going to start putting them on the Virtual Console again for $5, they don't want to be competing with themselves.
No, I understand that, but that's not launched until the fall, right?
Right. So, but my question then is, they still don't necessarily want that competition. So the SNES Mini, if it's going to come out by Christmas, do they really want that competing with the SNES ROMs that they're putting on the Switch? Which is another reason that's one reason why I doubt the SNES Mini. The other reason I kind of have doubt over, because I only really see the NES Classic as something that they used to make money from over this last holiday season. The other reason I kind of doubt the SNES Mini is, for that to be effective, they would need a lot more in licensing fees for it to be
for third-party games for the Super Nintendo
to make it a very attractive package.
We can talk about that. We've speculated before about what would potentially be an SNES Mini in the past.
I just think you would have to have some. I don't want to get into like a dream list of games. I'm just trying to look at it objectively from the outside. You'd need some Final Fantasies. Those are going to be Square Enix. It's probably not going to be cheap licensing. What do you do about the Donkey Kong countries when Rare developed them?
You got to get the rights to that.
Yeah. I mean, so that's going to be expensive too, especially because they're Microsoft now. You look at some of the other big properties that were popular. ActRaiser, Square Enix again as well.
SimCity, if you go one old school route, yeah.
SimCity, the Contra. I mean, these are all these games, all these great games that people tend to associate with the Super Nintendo. Super Mario RPG, Squaresoft. All these great games that people associate with the Super Nintendo. It's not that Nintendo didn't make good ones, but the ones that people think of.
They only published, not developed.
Demon's Crest, Capcom. So much licensing involved on that end.
Sure, and to get back to the issue, which I think obviously I see Nintendo's point if they want to cannibalize their market. Obviously, though, I think it's fallacious because the NES Classic appeals to a market that'll never buy the Switch potentially.
No, I realize that.
And if they really want to not cannibalize, jack the price $20-$30 and it'll still sell.
Sure.
Obviously, it would still sell because people are spending $200 for it on eBay. If they jacked it to $80 or $90, they sort of get some of that cost back at the same time.
I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Because that's what I saw. People were speculating somehow that the NES Classic Edition wasn't making any money. And even if that's the case, Nintendo could say, okay, it's $80.
No, it's making money.
You see what I'm saying, though? How weird that is? Like, okay, we just made $20 more just by jacking the price.
All I'm doing is trying to put myself in the shoes of the Nintendo robot.
But I would think even Nintendo of America is probably like gritting their teeth, like, oh, we could have made hundreds of millions of dollars in profits on this, and we just shit it away for potential profits on a virtual console that may not ever happen. But I see your point. Super Nintendo might be pricier just because of that, unless Nintendo digs up all their ones that you think of. It's like, well, yeah, it's running thinner than on the NES when you think about that. How many both NES developed and published games that they have the full rights for? It's a lot less than you think. Versus the NES, where hell, if you wanted to do an NES Classic Edition 2, fucking throw all the black box games on there. If you had to get rid of some of and people would still buy it.
Yep.